Hey guys, Drifter here. Today is a very special day. Do you want to guess what it is? It's my 1-year quarantine anniversary. As of today, I've been in quarantine for 365 days or one whole calendar year. Oh God, I've been under quarantine for a year. That's only like 50 weeks longer than I thought that this was going to last. So for those of you that don't know, my wife and I, 365 days ago, shut ourselves in. We closed out as much business as we could with the outside world and decided to self-impose a lockdown or quarantine upon ourselves to be healthy and proactive. We decided that we didn't want to contract coronavirus, which is an unknown, scary, and difficult to treat disease. And even though we were young and the odds of us surviving were pretty good, we didn't want to get it and accidentally spread it to other people. I didn't want to be the slayer of the elderly. I didn't want to be another link in the infection chain. So we thought that it would not only be good for ourselves, but ethical for all of the people around us to do a self-imposed lockdown, a quarantine, no outside, no going to restaurants, no going to bars, no big family gatherings, no parties, no nothing fun. And for the most part, we've done this entirely alone. I like to think of it more like being in house arrest. I feel like a rich person who's committed a crime and I'm just kind of stuck in my nice house, and my house is very nice and I've got nice things and I can keep working, but it's still not the same as actually having freedom and being able to go out and do whatever I want and socialize with people. I still, even though I have suffered immeasurably, and we're going to get into that today, oh my God, am I suffering? My mental health is in the gutter. I have suffered more than maybe I have ever suffered with anything in my entire life. But I still believe that I made the right decision. Maybe not even necessarily for my health, but I made the right ethical decision to protect others and not be another link in the virus chain. So no matter how much I suffer, even if I have to suffer a lot more than this, I still believe that I've done the right thing. And yes, I just hit you with some moral superiority, some value signaling. But before you have a heart attack and write all those angry messages about why not everybody can work from home, I agree with you. Not everybody can work from home. I'm very blessed that I'm a YouTuber, a gamer, that what I do for a living allows me to effectively work from home indefinitely as long as I'm able to game, but not everybody has that luxury, right? There are essential workers. There's doctors, nurses, drivers, people at plants. There's thousands, millions of jobs that can't be automated and can't be done by Zoom. So I don't knock you guys. I don't criticize you guys for going to work and living your life and doing your thing and taking care of your family. But you know what? There's no reason to have Buffalo Wild Wings packed with 200 people, the maximum capacity, on fight night. There's no reason for me to drive by Red Lobster and see a line of 40 people waiting out the door to get in, that it's so crowded. There's no reason to go to gyms that only require you to wear a mask upon entry. There's no reason to go to restaurants where you only have to wear a mask when you go in and you pop it off when you're eating. There's no reason for secret underground parties, for bars, for raves, for anti-mask areas, for gigantic family gatherings on Christmas. That's extra. That's unnecessary and dangerous, and I will criticize you till the end of time for that. So let's move on to the meat of today's video. What have the effects been on me for 1 year of quarantine? And you would ask, well, Drifter, how are you doing? The answer is not good. I am profoundly unwell, deeply disturbed in a number of ways. My mental health is in the gutter. I'm suffering immeasurably. I'm not even going to see doctors, so I don't even get a diagnosis really to know what's wrong. I guess I'll find out when I finally get my vaccine. I've had almost no social contact. Like I said, I don't live in a bubble. I've seen a few people here and there. Just as little social contact as humanly imaginable. I haven't seen a single member of my immediate family, extended family, my in-laws or their extended family. No holidays, nothing that doesn't happen right here in my house is what I've done. And what hurts the most, what depresses me the most, and actually moves way past depression into a burning nihilistic anger, is that I'm the last holdout. Out of every single person that I know, I am the only person who's still doing this. Now, to be fair, the majority of people I know wear masks. I don't know idiot anti-masker, well, not that many, that are anti-maskers or antivirus or pro-virus or whatever you want to call them. Most of them are obeying the guidelines, but it's more of a to-do to humor people. Do it as little as possible. Don't cause a trouble. Do the minimum effort, but still have a giant family Christmas, or 4th of July is still happening, or just something like that. Just the bare minimum, not what's actually safe. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm the very last person, and that's not been fun. That is no fun at all. Human beings are social creatures. We are designed from the ground up to be pro-social, to take care of each other, to work with each other, to express empathy, to do things as a community, because evolutionarily, biologically, we are built that way because it helps us survive, and it is ripping a fundamental part of my psychology out of my brain. It's like taking a piece of your soul and throwing it in the garbage. Supplementing that with all of the things that I do online is not a fix or solution. It's a stopgap, it's a band-aid. I do a lot of stuff online. I got a lot of online friends. I'm very active in a lot of communities. It's just not the same thing, and it's been painful. I have been working hard to distract myself with my work, making a lot of videos, a lot of content, new channels, changing things up. I've been working out super hard. I worked out, you know what? I actually destroyed my shoulder, so I can't game. Because I had so much spare time, I worked out so hard that I hurt myself. I find myself working out in anger. You ever do that? You ever go to the gym just absolutely mad as hell, burning up, steaming, fuming, already sweating before you get there, and you just work until you're so exhausted you pass out and you get a few moments of sleep before you wake up and you're angry again? That's pretty much what I've been doing in my home, or just trying to feel something, I suppose. I have exhausted every source of media that you can imagine. I have plundered the depths of Amazon Prime. I'm watching weird 80s and 90s movies that I didn't know existed. I have scoured Netflix for everything that's fun. Crunchyroll is like a dead horse that we've beaten into a fine pulp and then refined that pulp with extra water into a horse juice to drink. We've drained the anime pond, the YouTube pond. I love watching TV. I love media. I do media reviews here on this YouTube channel. I'm a creator in a sense myself, but I've exhausted it. Netflix and chill can only go so far. How many nights can I sit here at home, 365 so far, and just watch Netflix or play Hades or something as my primary entertainment? You start losing your mind doing the same thing over and over again. I've changed it up with books and other stuff, but it's largely the same thing. And you can only even clean your house so many times before you're just tearing up the floors and walls. I have avoided going to see the doctors. I have had no physical health checkups, no checkups on my spine problem. I actually had all of my prescriptions for the testosterone medication that I was taking lapse, and I refused to go back to my doctor because it's a tiny, crowded little office, and it's filled full of boomers every time I go there. So I'm not going to go into a fart tube full of anti-mask old people and sweat that out just to get the T-meds. So I'm coming off of that, and my hormones are going totally cuckoo bananas crazy, and I'm getting zits again, so that really sucks. I did finally, after just shy of a year, go see a doctor recently because I screwed up my shoulder that badly, and I was super nervous about it. My wife's like, it's okay, it'll be fine. I get there, and like 5 people come in to get COVID tests. One lady comes in saying, yeah, you know, and she's like, cough, I need a COVID test, cough, like pull the mask up, just coughing out of it. He's like, yeah, I went on vacation anyway, wanted to go to Los Angeles and hang out for a while in the winter, and I think I got COVID. And, you know, there's me in the corner, like just mortified, trying to avoid her. Like, yeah, no shit, you got COVID. Like, really? You need a test for that? Is that not just like plainly obvious? That was miserable. If you can't tell, I'm actually losing my mind. And I don't mean that in a figurative sense. I don't mean that in a clickbait sense. I mean, bits and pieces of my mind are falling apart from a year of social isolation. If I were to go see a doctor, psychiatrist, therapist, whatever today, they would almost certainly tell you that I'm depressed. I don't feel as happy as I used to. I'm not excited about as many things I'm used to. I've got a lot more anger, burning, seething, loathing, hatred, unhealthy amounts of anger for a variety of things. On top of that, you know what? I feel dumber. I don't feel like I'm as smart as I used to be, like I'm as clever as I used to be. I don't intake information quite as quickly. I don't focus very well. It's actually hard to get me to focus on something. And I feel like I get tired after doing less or sometimes doing nothing. I'll just wake up and work for like 2 or 3 hours and be like, my God, I'm beat, because I'm mentally exhausted, because I'm so stressed out from isolation. It's punishing me that bad. I am doing my best to hang on, to keep making content, to keep being positive, to keep entertaining all of you and be the best person that I can be. And that's actually been a massive motivating factor. The sheer amount of people that have sent me messages telling me that the daily videos, the daily streams, the positivity, the motivation has helped them through these incredibly difficult times, because there's people that are having it worse than me. I'm upset because I'm stuck at home by myself and it's boring me to death. Other people are dying, literally dying. Their family members are dying. It's super bad out there. And I think the thing that's bothering me, I've mentioned this in the other rant videos, my opinion has changed, is I think I'm starting to hate humanity in general. Like, I've always been a very see the best in person, redeem the person, work with the people you hate, blah, 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 turn the other cheek. But I'm starting to just turn into a miserable, like nihilistic, pessimistic kind of cretin. I chose to suffer. I chose all of this suffering in order to help my neighbors and people around me. And I just get to go see them wild out at the Cheesecake Factory and get sick and then go visit grandma and kill her in the nursing home. That kind of selfish behavior is something that I absolutely hate to the bottom of my core, and I don't think that'll ever change. It's also a uniquely weird situation, damaging. Like, you'll see on the news, the outside is dangerous. Corona's dangerous. It's bad. It's not really bad. The odds of you dying of corona are like really low. It's not like you're jumping in a pit full of sharks or jumping into traffic. But it's not like good. The odds of dying are like still there. So I'll read all this disaster news about dead bodies and terrible stuff and horrific political stuff flooding in from every timeline, even if I want to avoid it. And I'm like, my God, this is the apocalypse. The future disaster of 1992 Los Angeles. And I saw in all these films growing up is real. Where's the skateboard kids and the mutants? And I look outside and it's just normal suburbia, boring, bland, slow even because everybody's at home, nobody's working or traveling very minimally. So it's really weirdly stressful. It's almost like a scary movie like Bird Box or what's the one, The Leaves, where people get lost in the cornfield on Netflix, where you don't really like see a whole lot. It looks normal, it looks fine, but there is like a lurking danger out there. It's like going swimming in the ocean. Most of the time it's fine. Sometimes you run into a shark. In that time, I've been trying to give the best advice I can to others and encourage everything that I can do to end this pandemic faster, but for the most part, I've just been contending head-to-head with 1,000 different types of anti-maskers, COVID deniers, and my personal new favorite, virus deniers. I could talk about anti-maskers and people that believe coronavirus is a conspiracy or something like that all day, but the thing that drives me insane is this new thing that either its viruses aren't real, that they don't exist since they're so small you can't see them, or if they're not living they can't affect you, or if they're not living they don't make energy, so they have to vibrate at a certain frequency to get in your body, and those vibrational frequencies are determined by your morality primarily, or that the COVID just doesn't exist or something like that. And it is painful to encounter that online. Thankfully not very much here in person, though there are a few places in my city that they don't really look highly upon those wearing masks. They would prefer that you kind of didn't, so I don't really go to those places anymore. And for example, something that drives me bonkers is a family member of mine was generally anti-COVID for a long time. They don't think coronavirus is real. Coronavirus was invented by whatever political figure was popular that day. As soon as the election's done, COVID's going to go away. This is a conspiracy. It's not bad. Hey, good news. The sheriffs in my town got a big bribe, so the strip club's open and I'm going to go. And I'm like, you're old. You're immunocompromised. You're going to die if you go to the strip club, whether it's open or not. And telling me like I should go back to living my life, I should go outside, I should come visit the family because COVID's not real and this kind of stuff. Guess what happens as soon as vaccines open up in the state? Guess who was first in line? Yeah, same person. And it's not just one. I've got some extended family and stuff that are kind of in the same boat, and I see people around. There are so many irresponsible ass boomers out there that have preached about coronavirus being nothing and keep the economy open and go to work and blah, blah, blah. And they're first in line to get a vaccine. That also fills me with hate. Seeing that kind of hypocrisy, that kind of putting other people at danger just for your own YOLO, your own ego, your own sense of how things should be is brutal. It's also been driving me mad to see a slower vaccine rollout than what I wanted because our leaders at the time chose not to exercise their pre-buy options on all of the vaccines, but thankfully we're getting them coming. But the distribution is a nightmare. For example, hospital administrators got vaccines before nurses and doctors. So if you were working in a hospital as a nurse and a doctor, the administrator, the accountant, the HR rep, all the people that have since moved to work from home and don't even go to the office, first up for vaccinations. You doing the nursing? Haha, good luck for you. I know another streamer, okay? I'm not going to name their name and spill their private details. I know another streamer whose wife is a nurse, and she got coronavirus because she was working the baby and delivery floor, whatever it's like, just prenatal, not postnatal, like the baby floor, right? Pregnancy floor. And one of these women did not want to give birth without their mother there for support. And she had coronavirus while giving birth. She actually had a test somehow before and lied about it to the entire hospital staff. So not only did my streamer's friend get wife, I'm losing my mind even in this commentary. My friend who is a streamer's wife got coronavirus just so that this person could have their mother in there to comfort them during birth, as if the hospital staff couldn't do it. They were still going to let her give birth. They weren't going to kick her out of the hospital or anything. They would just put a mask on. So she got hospitalized. She was in there for like 2 or 3 months on a vent with breathing problems. And what was worse is that there were multiple nurses. They cleaned out like 2/3 of the floor, and a doctor got coronavirus. It's so grossly irresponsible, and there are millions of stories like this going around. There's no end to it. And seeing things like this has truly hardened my heart. You ever read the Bible about the story of Moses and the Pharaoh, and every time God does something mean to the Pharaoh, his heart just gets that much harder and he gets that much more hateful and spiteful? That's what's going on with me. I am waking up to the world that the people around me are not anywhere close to what I thought they were, and I am an anomaly, a huge, huge anomaly, which leads me to the next part of this lovely COVID rant: political instability. We love it so much here in America. We've just decided to quadruple down on it, just like those hedge funds quadrupled down on their shorts on GME. The political instability from 2020 alone has given me more gray hair and eroded my hairline more than anything else. I have aged more in 2020 than I have over like 4 other years over the last like 15 of my life. It's been brutal. Just briefly, the election stakes this year were stupidly high. It was like a whole year of election. There were shenanigans, inter-party shenanigans going on all the time. There are conspiracies going on all the time. We're grappling with the pandemic, but half the politicians spent most of their time trying to get reelected. There was so much money, so much advertising, so much stress going into it. Freaking QAnon stuff going on all over the place, which is a problematic movement on its own. There are people putting up Q signs in my neighborhood, which stresses me right the hell out. Trump gets coronavirus in the middle of the campaign after making fun of his opponent for wearing a mask and still almost won it. Like, didn't matter. Then there was the whole election fraud thing, which has been building for a year, basically saying there's election fraud, telling people to vote twice, a lot of stuff. And the election fraud turned into a big nothing burger. For example, the last time I said that in a video, oh my God, the hate tweets just rolled all the way down, and like thousands of like little examples. And I told you then, I'll tell you now, I spent 100-ish, maybe a little bit more, maybe 200 hours. I lost track of how much time I spent reading into election conspiracies because I wanted to take them seriously. I wanted to take people of we'll say the other side. I'm not on the Trump team, okay? So that's just not me. But I wanted to take those people around me seriously. I wanted to entertain their ideas and research them and be a knowledgeable person. I must have read like 40 or 50 different conspiracies, maybe more. I just lost track. I did that for like a whole week or two. I would even ask friends and family to just send me stuff, whatever you believe, I'll look into it. And I found basically nothing. Here's a great example of how this would play out. Did you hear that there were several counties in Michigan that had more people voting in the 2020 election than there were total registered voters? They got up to something like 140% registered voters voting. So there were more votes than there were registered voters. That seems like election fraud, right? And people would throw me that as if it were a fact. When you research this, what's bizarre about it is that the claim was made by a primarily conservative think tank, like a grassroots group of lawyers. And what they did is they used the state of Michigan's 2015 estimated voter registration pre-roll. So in 2015, the state of Michigan wanted to estimate how many registered voters they were going to have that year so that they could allocate polling and whatever. And it was not an exact count. It was an estimation from 5, maybe 6-ish years ago, depending on when they started counting. And again, truly just an estimate. Now, there were less registered voters in 2015 and a lot less estimated registered voters in 2015 than there were actual voters in the extremely contentious winner-take-all massive get-out-the-vote campaign election in 2020. But this group considered that data to be valid enough to publish it online and say, hey, look, the estimated 2015 voters and the actual 2020 voters are different by a huge margin. But they kind of skimped on these little facts right here and published it as just fact of there being more registered voters than not. You can go to the original website, you can look it up, you can read the original press releases, you can trace the origin of the story, you can go through it. This even showed up in some of the presidential lawsuits, and there was just nothing to it. And there's thousands of them. Everything I read was like that all the way down. And it was stressful to do that and stressful to see millions of people buying into this with no research whatsoever. We had the bajillion legal challenges that challenged the very foundation of the system of the country that we live in. I mean, I've never seen such bizarre legal challenges or high stakes one in my life. Then we had the actual Capitol insurrection where all the angry people went and stormed the Capitol building and took a whole bunch of fun Facebook and TikTok videos and are inevitably getting arrested, beat a cop to death, killed other people. Some lady got shot in the neck because she was trying to storm senators. I have never seen the Capitol building smoking with Confederate flags flowing all around it, okay? And if you think like, oh wow, this is the part of the video where Drifter complains about Trumpers, and that's true in a sense, but then our alternative, our saving grace, our savior this year is Joe Biden and his 80-year-old neoliberal policies that are stuck in the probably war on drugs and war on crime, which is ultimately a war on people. And Joe Biden is like, how would I describe this? Is this a saving grace? Am I on Team Biden? Do I love this guy? No. This is like a tolerate. This is like a barely better than the other thing. You're going to get it one way or the other, and I guess I'm taking it the other way this time. But at least the man seems a little bit more connected to reality. But don't you worry. He ain't going to be working for us. He's going to be working for the powers that be, the old money, the old Democrats, the old established corporations. That's where all this is going to go. But the whole point of the political rant was to trigger all of you and have you making angry YouTube comments that inevitably bump up my SEO, but also to lead into the next segment where I can talk very seriously that over the course of this year, and especially in the last couple of months, I have realized that I just do not live in the same reality as the majority of people around me. Now, Texas is a little bit special. That may not be true if I went to extra special San Francisco, where everybody's different as well, to say the least. But the fundamental facts about how the world works, what is an economy, what is a stonk, how do you short it, what are the powers, what treason really is, how do you define it, what the president and the Congress can and can't do we drink children's blood for fun, and like all of the, like, is a virus real? I don't know. Well, are vitamins just as good as medicine? I don't know. It makes me realize that the fundamental assumptions that I made about other people was that they were all mostly rational, that, everybody's got a few kooky beliefs here and there, but I would find more in common with people than different. And when exposed to a variety of bizarre informations, only a small number of people would latch onto those topics. What I've realized is that's just not true. I think that I'm built different. This is going to go into like a little uncomfortable superiority rant, so just be patient and humor me on this. It'll also apply to a lot of your lives as well. I used to think that I was a pretty average person, that I was of about normal intelligence, maybe a little bit brighter than average. Everybody likes to think good about themselves, but I wasn't crazy off the bell curve. I wasn't a genius. All the things that I've done here on YouTube and advice was something that anybody could do with a little bit of research and time. Never tried to make it too complicated, and that the majority of people were maybe not exactly like me, but pretty similar. That's not true. They're radically different. The way that they think, the way that they believe things, the ease of which they act on those beliefs, the lack of emotional control, the overall intelligence score, way lower. It's made me feel better and smarter about myself for all the wrong kind of reasons. Normally you want to say, yes, I am a billionaire. I am clearly smarter. I played the market. I have degrees. I am a genius. And I'm like, well, I'm not injecting bleach into my eyeballs. I guess that makes me smarter than average, which is terrifying. It makes me feel very alien, very scared, and very alone to realize that I see the world very differently than the vast majority of people. And it makes me realize how different I am and how alone I'm going to be, and how almost inhuman the people are around me, because I assume the aspect of humanity is similarity to yourself, similarity in thought, emotional similarity, empathy, all these kind of things. And I realize there's a colossal number of people that don't have any of that. It's just come to worry me that the fundamental system on which I live and our entire society is built is that people are rational actors, that the economy is based on rational investors and rational actors, and that voters are, for the most part, rational. The dummies will cancel each other out, and for the most part, the moderates will make the decisions, and that given the right information and right presentation, that most of us, the majority of us, will come to a sensible solution of some kind. And I realized that's not true. The system that we have is run by morons. The government is off the wheels. It's cuckoo bananas crazy. Local officials are crazy. Average day-to-day citizens are crazy. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't have an analogy good enough for how terrifying of a thought that is. It's like Alan Moore when he said the world is rudderless. It might be rudderless, but only because 43 people have fought over the rudder and one group set it on fire and the other group decided to eat the dust, is how I feel about that. And it really messes me up. One of the few uplifting moments that I felt recently, one of the nice things that I've seen, is this whole GameStop and AMC and meme stocks and Dogecoin. That gave me a ray of hope. And it was a sort of almost anarchistic, chaotic ray of hope, because I saw radically different people, not just in the US, but all over the world, like hardcore Trumpers, libertarians, neoliberals, like weird activists on Twitter doing left-wing things that I can barely understand and will be inevitably offensive and outdated in 2 days, all got together and decided, you know what, there's a problem with our system. All of these people that would gladly kill each other in a minute just decided, yeah, this is bad. So let's screw over these guys. Let's screw over the financial system. Let's try to break this. So there was some bit of unity, some bit of hope there, something that I enjoyed about that, even if it was chaotic and destructive in a way. It makes me realize that there is the possibility that we could work together in the future, but I don't know how willing I am to do that. I've seen just how unwilling 99% of people are to work with coronavirus, like an actual disease, a global pandemic, the thing that you can't avoid hearing or talking about. And most people are just comfortable pretending it doesn't exist and doesn't matter and just poof, gone. So that's brutal. And I guess I'm getting a vaccine coming this May or June. The Texas vaccine rollout's like really slow. I'm not a worker, I'm not an employee, so I'm skipping out on all that, right? I'm going to be in the very last group of people to get vaccinated. So whenever the end of the line comes around, that's when I'll be allowed to leave my house. And I'm hoping that it happens before fall, because I think I'm going to go crazy if I spend another 6 months in quarantine. Or am I already crazy? Probably not yet. I'm suffering, but I'm not crazy. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've learned something or enjoyed my rant or agree with me about anything, please like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, something like that, and I'll give you another update in a couple of months. Drifter out.